Hi, Professor Eva. Welcome to my second assignment. Let's get started with the table of contents. First, we have Brunello Cucinelli's values. The part two will be competitive advantage and profitability. Part three will be sustainability, and part four, social inclusion. So let's get started. Explain the main characteristics of this ethical and sustainable business model and philosophy and the theoretical framework and value-based system it is based on. Does this case prove that a successfully managed ethical business model can also be a source of competitive advantage, sustainability, and social inclusion and profitability? Well, let's find out. Let's start off with Brunello, a famous quote that he says and also relates big to this case. I believe in capitalism. I need to make a profit, but I would like to do it with ethics, dignity, and morals. It's my dream. So this quote made me question the ethics in all companies. Why is Brunello's company considered so unique, so extreme? Why is this not normal? Why is it out of the norm? My question is, shouldn't these standards be the norm for companies? These standards of ethics, of respect, and the structure of following good wellness for the employees, etc. So this quote made me question why his model is considered out of the norm. So let's start off with where the magic happens. In Solomeo, Italy, with 500 residents, the entire Cucinelli, the headquarters live there. With the entire family, the entire Cucinelli family and the headquarters are there. This city is really where all the magic happens. It's interesting because Brunello has restored the churches, the warehouses, making sure that the landscape is sustainable and it's reaching its best potential, catering to the natural landscape and making sure that it leaves lasting effects for the city and its community. So part one, Brunello Cucinelli's values. So let's go ahead and let's talk about the business model. So there's three main components to the business model. Let's go over them. So the first one is made in Italy, craftsman and product excellence. This to me is the core of the business model because the craftsmanship is key to the luxury piece of Brunello Cucinelli's brand. The fact that he is based in Solomeo and everything is resolved or surrounded by Solomeo, the made in Italy aspect is very important. Next, we have exclusive positioning and distribution. This just goes to show that only certain boutiques and stores can carry this brand. They're held to higher standards when it comes to its marketplace. And next, the most unique piece to Brunello himself is sustainable growth and healthy profitability, which basically means that he's going to input his moral philosophy into the way that he is growing and into the way he gets his profits. Whether that means the way he interacts with suppliers or the way he interacts with the environment, I think that's a really important factor and true to himself. And that makes his business model unique to his business, which also correlates with how he handles other aspects of the business, as we'll go into later. So let's start with his idea of humanistic capitalism. So first, he believes in fair and sustainable profit, which is interesting because he has a set of rules and standards and values that he follows. Next, we have balance between profit and giving back. So it's an equal flow of profit between Brunello and the world. So when I say world, I mean he gives profit that he earns and puts it back into his community, puts it back into his employees. So not only is he taking it for himself, he's also investing it in other things. And I think that's really special. Next, we have guardianship, and that's also really significant because Brunello is seen as a protector of the land, of the earth, of the community that he has an influence over. So as we can see, and we'll note later, Solomeo, he's the protector of his employees. I mean, he really cares about his surroundings and making a difference. Next, we have human dignity, and I think this is one of his main values. He believes everyone is treated with dignity, respect, and value, even to caring to their state of mind. So not only caring for their human dignity for them to create good products and for him to get profit, he really wants them to be inspired, to be creative, to live a great life outside of work. And I think that aspect is very important when you're considering the whole business, because he's not just looking inside of the business, he's looking outside of the business too. And that's where he really is unique and where the whole humanistic capitalism comes from. He tries to intertwine all the humans in his business and the community into making to a better world and better state of mind for everybody. And next, what sets Brunello apart? Well, first, we have the sustainability aspect. So not only is he caring about the earth and making sure there's little to no harm, but he also cares about the suppliers. So he's making sure that there's moral and economic dignity within the suppliers, whether they're working fair conditions and getting equal pay. I think he really thinks about the whole picture and make sure that they're being treated equally as well. And next we have craftsmanship. Only being made in Italy is a great aspect, but also by these highly skilled artisans. So he really factors in creativity. He makes sure that his employees have a window with natural light to get inspired by the natural landscape of Solomeo. So his craftsmanship is a very important factor behind his brand, because they're very innovative and very creative, and they want to do the best of the best in cashmere. So another factor is philosophy. He has 10 rules that he's put in place to make sure the brand is set and responsible for their actions and to set higher standards for morality. Well, let's meet this ethics committee, the one that he has installed in place to run the ethics of the business. We have Brunello himself as committee chairman. We have Father Cassian Folsom is also a committee member, and we have his daughter, Camilla Cucinelli, as a committee member. So what are the ethics committee goals? Well, number one, we have to make sure the code of ethics are followed. Number two, human values are put first in company activities. And number three, profits are incurred sustainably, and whether that's inside or outside of the company. So one thing that was interesting, and I had to question, was, is it logical for Brunello's daughter to be on this committee? It's kind of unclear if they ever had a problem about this, but I know that it can be not really a good check and balances. I think it would be more clear if they had someone outside of the company. I mean, they do have the father, but he doesn't really have a business background. He's more of just for the ethical purpose, but someone who was not related to them, or maybe someone in the company who is also not related to them, that can just do like more fair and be more objective to the ethics going on in the business. However, I think it's really good that they have an ethics committee to put these tools in action and to make sure that they're being followed. Part two, competitive advantage and profitability. So let's talk about the human advantage that Brunello has installed. So he has the Forum of Arts, which is a place where the arts is celebrated. With a theater and amphitheater in close proximity, he has iconic corporate culture. Known for their culture, employees cannot work after 5:30. They eat homemade food from the garden, and they also do not have to clock in. So although these are not the norm, I think this is what sets them apart, and kind of how they're known to the world is having this great corporate culture and taking care of their employees. And also he gives them 20% higher salaries than normal wages in their industry or their position. And I think this goes to show that he wants to pay them more fairly for their skills and values. And next, we have revenue between 2013 and 2019 in the millions. So we have a graph or a chart showing this really good growth, and it starts really in 2013. And I think it's important to note that in 2012, the company went public. And I think all the investors believed that after seeing Brunello's philosophical beliefs, the way he runs his company, the way he holds such high standards with his products and his luxury goods, they can see the authenticity within his business, the way he runs his outside life with Solomeo. And I think that's largely what has contributed to this growth. In the next slide, we see revenue by geographical area. And as I've noted, the biggest growth between 2018 and 2019 was in North America. And I think that's really important just to show how big they are to the rest of the world, not just in Italy. And this graph is really good to show how popular or how they're being noticed by the entire world. So it just shows overall a good growth for them, even despite the pandemic. And as we're going to go, this just shows as of 2021, his net worth over time. So right now he's worth 1.9 billion, and he became a billionaire after his brand went public in 2012. And he started off with a $550 loan in 1978 after he dropped out of engineering school. So to me, this is just a big, huge contrast in just Brunello's ethics and core values, showing and demonstrating the success that he's created. And I don't doubt that this will continue to rise as time goes on. So part 3, sustainability. So it's more than sustainability for Brunello. He really emphasizes quality into his products. And not only does he put quality into his products, he puts care into the artisans that are making these products. And he puts care into the city where these artisans are making these products. So it's kind of like a big chain of, he stems from the big part and just inputs more and more quality and care in each step. And to me, that is just more than sustainability. And when he's caring for the city, restoration and growing of Solomeo, that's where the people live. So he's taking care of the people and then where they live. And then he's also taking care of them at work and into the products. And then those go to the consumer. So it's just one big chain of Brunello really caring and showing quality for all the things he's doing within his business. So let's talk about sustainability versus human sustainability. Well, as you can see here, harmony is kind of both in the traditional sustainability and the human sustainability, with harmony with earth, creation, profits, and giving back. But next we have guardianship, and that's kind of not in the traditional sustainability and kind of in that human aspect of sustainability. So we have the tool of care, tending to the entire city and community, which Brunello has continued to do with the form of arts, the School of Arts and Crafts, continuing to invest in the community. And lastly, knowledge, which is not really in the traditional sustainability, but is in the human sustainability as well, with investing in his artisans, teaching students the techniques he continues to do to inspire creativity. I think it's a really bigger aspect than just doing the standard sustainability. He really goes beyond and tries to sustain this sustainability within the people that he's working there and tries to make a lasting impact for a while and not just for now. And lastly, for social inclusion part 4. So this is what I've kind of come up with, social inclusion in Solomeo, and this is kind of all the things that he's accumulated for the growth of the people and to make sure that everyone has access to these types of wonderful things, such as a theater, a library, neo-humanist academy, amphitheater, school of craftsmanship, and a philosopher's garden. So let's talk about philosophy. So as you can tell, Brunello is a huge fan of these philosophers, as these quotes are taken directly from his website. Not only does philosophy play a large role in his company, but also his day-to-day life. His values are true to his actions, and as you can see here, for example, the Hadrian quote, he states, "I felt responsible for the beauty of the world." And this quote just goes to show that Brunello really does care for the planet and the earth, which they take resources from, and he really does emphasize that he's trying not to hurt the earth or hurt as little as possible. And within that same thing, he does give back to the landscape, whether it's getting rid of these warehouses or whether it's restoring the land, taking care of it. So I think Hadrian, this quote is a good example of his personal philosophy that he's taken with him. Another example is the Socrates quote, "Love of knowledge echoes in our hearts and nourishes great thoughts." And this quote just demonstrates how Brunello invested in knowledge for the community, as I said in the last slide, the theater, the amphitheater, the form of the arts, the school of arts and crafts, just continues to push the standards higher. And next, Kant. Act in such a way that you can treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never merely as a means to an end, but always at the same time as an end. And I think this quote hits hard for him because of his father. And his father inspired him so much to treat people with moral dignity. And this just shows that the way he treats his employees, the way he treats his family, and the way he treats his consumers with the products that he gives us, this quote goes deep with his own moral virtues and the way that he handles his life and his business. And I thought this quote was really interesting. It goes, I believe this project represents that much loved dream of Solomeo, which consists of working and living while respecting those around us by continually looking for a feeling of temporary custody of a very small part of creation, imagining that this last one can always illuminate our path. Brunello Cucinelli. And in conclusion, I believe Brunello Cucinelli proves to be doing well despite the pandemic, as revenue and net worth are still increasing. Besides creating a top-notch cashmere brand, Brunello has contributed to another type of success, restoring Solomeo, creating school, and leading the way for companies in regards to corporate culture. Overall, Brunello's business model can contribute to the success of his company, but his way of running business can contribute to the sustaining success and promising future. All right, well, if you have any questions, let me know. This is the end of my presentation.